Do you remember that the Founding Fathers created a system of checks and balances among the three branches of government? Let's take a look at some of the tools each branch has to limit the powers of the other two. The writers of the Constitution gave the most number of checks on power to the legislative branch. For example, Congress can limit the president's power by overturning a presidential veto. If the president has rejected or vetoed a bill sent to him by Congress, that bill can still become a law if 2/3 of the House and the Senate vote in favor of it. Senators have another way to limit a president's power. If a president nominates a person to become a Supreme Court justice, senators can refuse to approve the nomination, and the person will not be allowed to join the court. This would also be considered a check or a limit on the judicial branch because it controls who gets the job. Another important way that the Congress can limit the Supreme Court's power is to propose an amendment or change to the Constitution. Congress used its power in 1920 when it approved the 19th Amendment. This important change in the Constitution gave women in the U.S. the right to vote. Now that you know how Congress can limit the power of the other two branches of government, in what ways do you think the executive branch might have the power to stop Congress and the judicial branch from overstepping their bounds? One way presidents often limit the power of Congress to stop bills from becoming laws is by vetoing or rejecting them. Additionally, the Constitution gives the Vice President an interesting way of limiting Congress's power. It is the Vice President who casts the deciding vote in the Senate if the senators are evenly divided on an issue. Even the judicial branch can limit power. The justices do this by reviewing laws passed by the Congress and the President to determine if they are constitutional. If the Supreme Court finds that a law violates or goes against the ideas in the Constitution, the justices can stop it. Let's take a moment to review. Here's question number 1. Which is an example of the ways in which Congress can limit the power of the President? A. Congress can pass new government spending laws. B. Congress can choose Supreme Court justices. C. Congress can refuse to follow the Constitution. Or D. With a 2/3 majority in the House of Representatives and the Senate, Congress can overturn a presidential veto. The correct answer is D. Congress can limit the power of the president by overturning a veto with a 2/3 majority vote in both the House of Representatives and the Senate. Let's try question number 2. In what year did Congress use its power to approve the 19th Amendment, which gave the women the right to vote? A. 1776, B. 1885, C. 1920, or D. 1972. If you answered C, then you know that Congress passed the 19th Amendment in 1920. Here's question number 3. In what way can the executive branch limit the power of the legislative branch? A. The president can veto a bill proposed by Congress. B. The president can refuse to follow the Constitution. C. The president can propose amendments to the Constitution. Or D. B and C. The correct answer is A. One way that the executive branch can limit the power of the legislative branch is by having the president veto a bill proposed by Congress. As you can see, the Founding Fathers put a great deal of thought into how to build a government that protects individual freedom and does not get too much power. By creating a government with 3 branches and checks and balances, they establish a system in which change happens purposefully and only when most people agree on it. Let's hope our Ecology Club thought about how our democracy was formed and took a fair vote before they decided on their fundraiser.